one, fight! Hey guys, it's me, your friend Gabe and completely out of focus. Is there schmutz on this camera here? It's great to see you guys. It is Double Impact. It is me and the great Shanth and Jetty, and we're going to be discussing a great movie I've only seen twice. I feel embarrassed admitting that. I have all this nerd cred, work for Marvel, DC, Disney, and now for myself for great, awesome Comicscape books. I've only seen Goonies twice, and last night was the second time. Do not punish me. But here he comes, Mr. Goonie himself. It is my boy and yours, Shanth. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, brother. It's good to see you, my friend.
All righty. So Goonies never say die, huh?
Absolutely.
Is that what I'm supposed to believe about these characters? Before we get to that, how are you doing today? How is Nosferatu? How's all that stuff going?
It's going great, man. Picked up another couple backers. We had our first painting stream in a while last night on my channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do go and subscribe to it. You know, I've basically been trying to get, I know it's the boring stuff, right? We were just talking about this before the show, getting, you know, the Ethernet set up so that it doesn't look like it was filmed on a Game Boy when I try to live stream. So it's just like ongoing, man, ongoing, but it's getting there.
Yeah. If it's not too boring, what was the deal with your internet? What was there something wrong with it or?
Well, you know, it's when I'm doing these drawing streams, I'm using OBS and I'm trying to, you know, send a lot of data through, and I just need a direct Ethernet line to get the resolution up to 1080p because people want to be able to see the work. And then I was also busy, as you probably know, I was also busy creating a work of musical genius because I'm not a comic book artist. Mainly, I'm a musician. And I did a song inspired by G4 that I know some of you guys probably saw on Twitter. So
talk about epic meltdown. Oy.
Holy, yeah.
That poor thing. Something didn't go right for her.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But it wasn't career opportunities, clearly. So it's amazing how you can get what you want, still be miserable.
Yeah. So, okay. I did see that on Ethan's show, and that was very funny the way you did that. I like her friend clapping at her like this.
Oh my God. Yeah, what's wrong?
For those of you that don't know, G4, they're relaunching it. G4 was like a video game channel. I never watched it. My brother was into it. He's nerdier than I am. And I guess they're relaunching G4, and the female host went off that people in the chat were roasting her for not being hot or something. And I feel like the chat roasts you when you're online. Like, is this your first time online, lady? Like, I've been roasted in the chat. I don't care. Makes me laugh. You know, so whatever. Roast away, friends. Roast me.
Well, it's the kind of thing that what amazes me is you find yourself on third base and you can't steal home. Like you've been given everything at that point. You've got this huge audience. All you have to do is show up and not hate them. All you have to do is show up and take your knocks because that's just part of the thing. But what was crazy about it is that, and I know that there's a lot of this stuff going on in Disney is this new like it's almost like a pathology of hating your audience, which is so bizarre.
Yeah, it is weird. I think
We
lot
love
of
our
that
audience.
wicked wrath or whatever comes from
Yeah.
narcissism, and we all have a
Yeah.
tendency to it if we don't keep it in check. You know, me. Oh, it's different when it's me, and you rationalize when you do something bad, but then no
Yeah.
mercy when someone else. And that's okay to have those impulses and then fight them and defeat them. You know what I mean? That's the human condition.
Yeah.
Is yourself. You're your own opponent most of the time. It's actually not other people screwing you up. You know, it's the man in the mirror. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm on cloud 9. Can I tell you what I did today?
Yeah, you got to tell them what you did. Yeah.
Oh my
me
gosh,
and them.
guys! I was on Newsmax television. That's a local. That's an internet. That's a national cable news channel. I was on the Grant Stinchfield program at
yeah.
I think it was 5 Pacific, 8 o'clock over there in New York, and I got to promote Comicsgate and then mostly promote my new book that I'm doing with Dave Williams, Truth, Justice, American Way. It was so exciting to be on that. I was on his show in November. He asked me to go on because of the whole scandal with walking out of Superman. And he brought me back because he wanted to follow up what I was doing. And I'm going to go back on when the book launches on President's Day. So I'm really excited. Out of curiosity, awesome. I checked my mailing list on Indiegogo for the amount of email addresses I collected. And I put out just some tweets and I started collecting addresses. And I had 211 before I went on the show. I checked it 20 minutes ago. I had 598 email addresses.
That's right, baby.
So going on that show made quite a difference. It was really fun.
Hollywood El Taib. Everybody says it.
That's right, baby. Let's go. You want to go Hollywood? Where are my sunglasses? Right. I'll put my sunglasses on right now if I can find them.
He wears his sunglasses at night.
Okay.
That's how he does it.
I can't find them, but the threat remains.
That's absolutely right.
Threat level midnight. So, and then you know who Dana Loesch is? She's like an NRA spokeswoman and other stuff.
I don't know if I know her, but
she's huge on Twitter for Trump and all that. And I don't know if she's on Daily Wire or Blaze or one of those channels, but I'm going to go on some of their shows too. The TV producer there was emailing me today. So I'm very excited about that. So I get to go out, defend you fans and say, we're good guys who just want adventure and fun, not white supremacists, not weirdo racist bigots. And we just want classic adventure and fun. And that's what we're making here. And then, you know, of course, promote my own book, but promote comicsgate.org and all that stuff people could check out. So what a great day. I just thank God. That was just like an amazing day to go back on Grant's program. And he texted me afterwards. He said he loves having me on there. So very exciting. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, so because you're high energy and you mean this stuff.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? The funniest thing in the world, right, is to me anyway, is I've never been able to fake, you know, I don't know. It's such a bizarre thing. I was talking with my wife about this. We actually believe in this stuff. We believe in Comicsgate. We believe, like, when people ask me, you know, it's like, oh, you know, how long have you felt this way, you know, about, you know, the country? How much have you loved America? I'm like, I was asking every year as a teacher, I think first semester or first day, you know, do any of you know what Article 1 of the Constitution of the United States is? You know, you help your high school girlfriend study for her citizenship test. You have a different perspective on these things.
Right.
And, you know, it's when it comes to independent comics and Comicsgate, it's been ride or die since the start. And so when you go and you talk to people about it, I've always been amazed. I don't know. I don't think I don't like what I think Groucho, who was it? I wasn't Groucho Marx. I forget who it was, but I obviously don't think you can fake sincerity, and people get that from you, man. They can tell you're sincere when you're talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The insincerity, when you don't believe in something and you're saying it, it'll come through in your tone, your eyebrows, your body language, you know, emotional, psychic vibes or what. I'm not describing that correctly, but you know, the spiritual realm. People feel it when you're insincere. It comes through my YouTube channel, which is very successful and fun now. Was not 2 years ago because I was being a wimp and I wasn't speaking not my truth. I wasn't speaking the truth. I was saying what I needed to say to keep my job at Warner Brothers and keep it all nice and tidy. And I was being a wimp. And I'll say that. I'll own that. That was wimpy, weak ass behavior to silence myself because I knew these people didn't approve of what I had to say. Well, guess what now, mister? I'm going to say whatever the hell I want. So.
Absolutely right. Well, there's also that part of, you know, when they talk about that, you know, the frog in the pot that's slowly being heated up. Sometimes things change underneath your feet and you go through this period of what the hell is going on. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'll tell you, I think that can be as difficult as anything else. We got to say hey to the chat in here. So let's get to that too.
Paul, saw your promotion of Truth, Justice, and American Way on Ethan's Comicsgate Kings stream. that Ethan was so gracious to make me a Comicsgate king. I really, I didn't know he was going to do that. I didn't even ask him, but I suppose he thought I was worthy because of my past working in comics on all the big stuff.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you want to see what we're talking about here, let me share the screen.
Yeah, let's get that up and happening. Let me move my camera too, because it's like.
Let's share it. Truth, justice, American way. This is what we're doing here. And it is from David Williams and I, and it is our love letter to classic superhero action. I mean, the things that made us fall in love. G.I. Joe, the cartoon, you know, the old Spider-Man, the old X-Men and Avengers and all that stuff. That stuff where it's not about politics. I'm not going to come and smash you in the head right wing, guys. I'm not. I mean, I'm not even really a Republican. I'm a conservative. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not crazy for the parties. I'm a conservative person that appreciates and loves this country and what it's given me. So comic books are an original American art form. We don't need to screw them up and make all this postmodern garbage and mess them up. And I don't want to get negative. That's another thing Dave talks to me about. He's the illustrator. I'm the colorist and writer. And he talks to me, let's not get negative. Let's, you know, if it wasn't me talking, I would say that feminists are fat and ugly, but it's me talking. So I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is that let's have fun. Let's have excitement. Let's have adventures again that aren't going to just alienate our audience. Like, what do I want to do that for? I don't want to do that at all. And I think something we can all agree on, no matter what your religion, politics, whatever, is adventure, drama, heroes in danger, but they overcome it with bravery and cunning and strength. So that's what you're going to get from us. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do too. I mean, I love Comicsgate, and this is the thing about it, right? This is, I would also add, just from a business standpoint, let's say you were a smart corporation, you know, let's in this fantasy world we're in. It is a massive blind spot that they are not doing anything with. That there's a huge number of people who love this country in this country who know what that means to them and love it and appreciate it when it's addressed in a very earnest, sincere way, and it's done with great storytelling. I don't know why that is so difficult for people to grasp. It's one of the most bizarre things in the world.
Yeah, I think, and you really opened my eyes to this, talking about how communism is just a religion of resentment, you know, and jealousy and all that. And the leftist, communist, Marxist stuff, it really is about how dare anything be better than me? How dare anyone have anything that I don't have, even though, you know, even if you don't work for it. I think that's a big part of it. They don't like looking at America and saying America's great and exceptional because I'm great. I'm better than America. That's what pisses me off about Tom Taylor. And I'm sorry to get negative. and I'm going to say this. I don't care what anyone thinks. He's not American. He's Australian. And he comes out in here to our country, our companies, our heritage, and tears down some of it. And that fact that he's not even American, that really pisses me off. That he's like, how dare America be great? It's like, it's such horrible narcissism, you know. I can't stand it. So,
well, I always tell people, you know, that you know, when you look outside of your window, do you think that, you know, you think all these people who are drowning in an ocean of cynicism need you to toss them a brick? Do you know what I mean? Is that what you see? I see the people in my chat. I see the people who were there last night. We were talking about all sorts of stuff. We're breaking out Bernie Wrightson books. We were talking about this, you know, the Wraith of God and this sort of like young, handsome, you know, boy band guy who's coloring it, Gabe Taib. I mean, you know, this is the way he's all Hollywood. You know what I mean? And it's like you can hear the girl screaming. It's like, you know, Beatles on Ed Sullivan. And the thing is that when we're sitting here and we're having these conversations, when I sit down to do Nosferatu and I'm making a nod to Evil Dead 2 and I'm making a nod to like Rick Baker's Creature stuff, when I see this stuff, I'm like, Man of Steel, done. Justice, done. Like I see all this stuff that reminds me of the things I was passionate about. And I do think that it's, you know, as my, you know, Dallas, Texas mother-in-law would say, you do catch more flies with honey than you do, you know, the other way around.
Right.
And I think all we have to do, the field has been abandoned. The field of optimism and hope has been abandoned. We just have to take that field. That's it. Well, they don't even want it.
It's amazing you're saying that. This is exactly what Dave Williams told me. You know, he's like 15 years older than me. And a problem I struggled with a lot of my life was rage. And God really delivered me from that. I'm not the angry, crazy person I was like 5-6 years ago. And Dave has told me exactly what you've told me. And you've told me before, too, when we talked privately after this show, that it's not about what we hate and feminists are ugly and stupid commies. And then we're just like them. If we're just spitting bile and screaming and having red eyes, what's the difference? We're just filled with hate too. So let's celebrate what we love. The excitement and over-the-top goofiness of like G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles and old school Avengers and X-Men. It's just goofy, that stuff, but it's so good. It's so much fun. Like, look at this. This is corny, but I think it's amazing. Dave came up with this, the illustrator.
Yeah.
And Dave is, like 55 years old, Cartoon Network, Marvel, Disney, master artist. And he has on Justice. He's like our Punisher, Charles Bronson, Batman, Midnighter, all rolled into one. You don't know his name. You don't know his origin. Is he with some secret government organization? But on his gun, on his, sorry, let me zoom in here. On his gun, it says the easy way. And on his nightstick, it says the hard way. So if he's like beating up a rapist or whatever, it's like, you want it the easy way or the hard way? And they're like, the easy way. And then he just beats him to a pulp with the club and stuff. So just silly over the top stuff like that. We're going to have a lot of fun.
Well, I'll tell you what,
go ahead.
Just looking at this stuff, I just have to tell you, one of my first favorite characters that I fell in love with was fantasy characters, sci-fi characters, was a police officer. It was Robocop.
Yes.
One of the greatest designs by Rob Bottin of all time.
Right.
And you just go, where is this stuff? And I think we're bringing it back. Mighty Geek Studios. Good to see you.
I'll buy that for $1. Let's talk about Robocop next week, baby.
But
Robocop is goofy and corny and over the top, and it's awesome because it's goofy and over the top.
A blast.
And that's a thing that the socialist commies can't do because their egos are so crazy, they won't allow themselves to embarrass themselves. I am a grown man with a mortgage wearing a bandana on my head right now.
Damn right.
Okay? I don't care. It's funny to me and it's entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen to this little intro I wrote for this, and we'll get to Goonies, guys. Don't worry. But this is like the corny over-the-topness that I love. When the world was on the brink of destruction, 3 independent protectors joined forces to save humanity. Since that day, they have answered the call when America and the world need saving. They are the Honor Guardians of America. That's what they call their group. The book is called Truth, Justice, American Way. But that's the kind of intro I like. Stuff like that. You can just see it. You can feel it. It's really fun. We're trying to capture that Saturday morning, the golden sunlight's coming in the window. You've got a bowl of hopefully Lucky Charms and not Fruity Pebbles because I don't like those. And you're just sitting there watching 3-4 hours of whatever you loved back then. For me, it was always Ninja Turtles and stuff like that.
Oh, my God, yeah. That's another day we gotta do.
Oh, yeah, very cool. So let's see. Oh, look at this. Love, God, Bible, Truth. Robocop, my favorite hero.
There you have it.
So
I love that character.
I just do you guys know who Eric July is, the great YouTuber? He just texted me. So, and I say that not to brag or name drop, but one thing I love to do for fans is to give them the behind the scenes, because I want you guys to feel like you're part of this. Not that I'm better than you and you're watching me, like you're Comics Gate too, fans. You are equals to us. You're just as big as part of the equation. So when Eric July just texted me that, oh yeah, we're excited about the comic I did with him, which I cannot discuss, but we're going to be talking about it soon. And I told him I want to go on his show and just talk craft and this and that and the other. So just so you guys see behind the scenes the life of a comic book artist, he just texted me a second ago. So I think stuff like that's really fun. I remember when I had my old channel, I got an email from DC. You get them all the time to sign a new contract. We want you to do 6 more issues, 6 more. I'd sign them on the air just so the fans could feel like they're there in the room with me. So Eric July just texted me. So there you go. That's fun.
Life is good, man.
Yes, very cool. Oh, now hold on now. General Piggy for $4.99. Thank you so much. It's very generous of you. Now this is epic, he says. I hope I got that right. Yeah, and Ripper was just on a live stream with EVS. It's very cool. Barb Rogers, Little Miss Sunburn, sent a $5 super sticker. I'll have to go over to YouTube and see that because I'm usually watching through StreamYard. But is there anything else you want to ask me about these new heroes, or should we just get right to Goonies? Because I think we should get to Goonies.
If the chat's got something, I'm game, man.
Okay.
If they've got a question, I mean, for me, I look at them and my personal. Oh, your volume which just went out. You just got muted. Did something switch over? I'm game, man. Okay. If they've got a question.
Are we there? Can you hear me?
We're there. I think we're there.
Okay, I don't know what that was. But I went and checked out the super sticker. Thank you, Little Miss Barb Rogers. I want to say Sunshine. Oh, it is Sunburn. Sorry. Thank you.
There you go.
Like a little fox or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, when I look at this stuff and I'm looking at these characters, I just think that it's a great lineup. I'm looking forward to seeing what would happen. when we see these characters come into the world. But it's like I was watching Ethan's stream, with Ripa as well, man, and it was awesome stuff.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
you're going to love Eric July. He's going to be such a force for this cultural movement. I don't know that he calls himself Comicscape, but he's totally down with it. He hires me and other people of the same ideology. And I don't want to speak for his politics, but I'm pretty sure he's libertarian and stuff like that, and just very liberty-minded man from Texas. I really admire him. He's very stoic, very squared away. He's the kind of guy, I'll turn in pages. There'll be a payment like that, like within minutes. You know what I mean? He's like, he does business like top flight level business. He's awesome.
Everybody who has not seen that stream, once you're done watching this stream,
yes,
if you do check it out, do watch the amazing interplay between the two different cultures, New Jersey and Texas.
Right.
I have family in Texas, and whenever I watch those two talk, it is like a master class and somebody from Texas talking to somebody from New Jersey. And it just cracks me up. Oh, cool. Is that the description of the story? Because we got some people who want to hear.
Yeah. Someone said, I would like to hear about these characters.
Oh, yeah, man.
Will you indulge me and let me read about it?
Are you kidding? That's why I'm here, man.
Well, I wrote this for the people on the news. And then I had to, the news host, Grant Stanchfield, he said, so what's the origin of this character? And I just had to do it off the top of my head. It was the first time I'd ever really done it publicly. But I have a little document for me right here. So truth, this is Amara Rudolph, is a former Olympian who forfeited her dreams of being a sports superstar because of her superhuman abilities. She knew using her unfair advantage over everyone would be living a lie. Instead, she chose a career of dedicating her abilities to serve mankind through moral absolutes and raw power. I don't want to get too much into her powers, but they're very cool. But she's based on the truth. That's her code name is Truth. So, and if you didn't pick up on that, that's the code names of these people: Truth, Justice, and American Way. Not the American Way. They just call them American Way. Then we have Justice right here. Let me shrink that down a little. The hard way and the easy way. I do love that. Justice, name, unknown. Is he a former soldier, a police officer, a special agent? It's unclear. What is known is that he appears to be sanctioned by a clandestine faction of the federal government where no side of the political or social world is safe from his justice. And then we have Joseph Ellis, American Way. Is from a long line of blue-collar steelworkers from Milltown, Ohio. Layoffs and cutbacks at the steel mill led to a tragic accident where Joseph fell into a supercharged vat of American steel. Joseph chooses to turn what might be a curse to most into a gift to help the world. So they are the Honor Guardians of America. So, yeah, Dave and I are just, listen, if there's a void that Marvel and DC don't want to fill, fine, we'll jump in there because we love this stuff. So we're going to do an amazing job. Oh, and the legendary, I think he's an Eisner winner, and he literally wrote the book from Dark Horse, like on inking. Gary Martin is actually going to ink Dave on this. I think Dave's actually going to not ink himself. So we're going to hire the legendary Gary Martin. He inked Nexus and countless things, and I'm pretty sure he's an Eisner winner. He's going to be the inker for this. So very, very excited.
Nice. Yeah, nice.
So that's Truth, Justice, and American Way. All
very cool, man.
And the link to get on the mailing list is in the chat right now. Now, it's your time, Shanth. Why do you love Goonies so much? Because you're smart? Or what is it? What is it about Goonies you love?
Yeah, so I love Goonies for a million and one reasons. And I think the biggest one is that the way that it excuse me, the way that it hit my generation at this really particular time. And there are different movies that come along that sort of define a generation or that speak to a generation. And there are all these movies that are in the 80s that Goonies is a part of, although the kids are a little bit older than, say, the young kids in E.T., where you've got a bunch of young kids who are basically trying to figure out life on their own. Their parents are not around. They're either at work or they're just aloof. And as a result, the kids are also taking on responsibilities, which is they know their parents are financially, up a creek and they're going to lose their home. And they take on adult responsibility in a very childlike sort of way, which is if we find this treasure, we're not going to lose our home.
Right.
And there's something there's something kind of amazing because while the parents are very lovable, particularly, Mr. Walsh, Mikey's father, when you see him, he's very aloof. The mother is very aloof. And, these kids know that in a lot of ways, the kids are more mature, more brave, more willing to go out there and not in a haughty sort of way. Because what what does he say? He goes, they're talking about treasure, guys. Like a kid's dream treasure. He goes, if I found One-Eyed Willie, God, I love the 80s. If I found One-Eyed Willie's rich stuff, I mean, man, they were having fun with that.
That joke.
Yeah, I know, right? He goes, if I found his rich stuff, I'd pay all my dad's bills.
Right.
This is coming from a kid. Then he wouldn't have to go to sleep at night worrying about how he's going to pay for us. You know, and that is, to me, that struck me as something as a kid. I used to think about things that way, like going on an adventure, but my goals were, you know, much more, I don't know, like they are today, taking care of my family, my kids. That's what my Comicsgate goals are, my dreams are, whatever I do with my art. But that's a huge part of it. And that's never left me, you know. And then you add in this idea that there's this world that kids live in by themselves, right? And it's you know, there's these adventures you can go on. And I always say there's two kinds of stories about that teenagers or adolescents go through in fairy tales. There's the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory version, and then there's the Alice in Wonderland. Selfless, absolutely right, SDA. Right. And in the Alice in Wonderland, it's a fake world. It's not real. The kid goes into it who's a brat, and they come out the other side more emotionally changed, but the world's the same. They're just better equipped to handle it. Then there's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where the kid is altruistic. The kid doesn't need to change, but the adventure reveals his altruism to everybody, and he actually changes his real world, saves the finances of the family, like in that movie, and that's what this movie is tied to.
I have to stop you there about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because what's the deal with the grandparents? They're like lazy bones. They're in bed.
We don't know.
Can't walk and move, and then he gets a golden ticket. And all of a sudden, the miraculous healing. The grandpa jumps out of bed. So
yeah, we'll never know. You know. Different strokes for different folks. No,
right.
It was one of those things, man. And it's the Goonies swear count of the kids, which, so I went back to my elementary school once when I was a 7th and 8th grade or something. They had a reunion for us, which is a weird thing. And they went into it, and they were like, I went there and I said to the people there, they go, I remember you. And I said, oh, for my art? He goes, no, you were the first kid I ever heard drop the F-bomb. And I was like,
well, there you go.
Angela Curry's like, socialism. I love that.
Well, Love God Bible Truth says, I forgot how much adult language and humor was in Goonies. It's still a classic, but now that I'm wiser, I can't help but notice what people got away with in movies starring kids. That is the only part of Goonies that I don't like, is there's some bad words, but I remember being 12 and saying shit. I said it when I was that old, and it's not good. It's not good. Can we talk about swearing for a minute? Because I swear a little bit too much, and I don't. I'm going to take responsibility because I'm an adult. But I learned it playing football in high school, because every other word from the coach is the F. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it just becomes a habit. And I hate it because I feel like it looks ignorant and stupid to be cursing all the time. So it is something I occasionally try to curb, but I think I'm better than I was. But yeah, do you think, does it turn you off a little bit in this movie? The movie's so charming. It's a great movie, but there is a little bit of language.
No, I don't. I'm not. How do I word it? The cursing for me there was Double Impact Confessional.
Right, Double Impact Confessional.
But this is the thing about it, right? It's like I think the thing that got me about it was the way that all of the kids, how they changed as they went through it. If they were swearing at the end of the movie, do you know what I mean? Right. I think that what we saw with them, that was exactly what I was going to lead into, the perfect slide. I watched that movie with my son the first time, and he got emotional when he was younger. I remember showing him this movie when he goes, Sloth, you're going to live with me now.
Oh,
because I love you.
Yeah.
And you just go, the kid who lies, the kid who it's, you know, the kid who's always making up stories and is the butt of the jokes. He comes and he saves the day. And yeah, he still swears, but this unlikely character, he comes to understand him. Hey, you guys, absolutely right. Love God, Bible Truth.
Guys.
Absolutely.
I think I do it pretty good.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, you do. You do a good Sloth. It's good, man.
Don't say I look like him. Don't you dare say that.
Well, underneath the makeup, right, we got to love, man, a fellow football player, right?
Yeah, that was a former, Los Angeles Raider or something like that.
Yeah, he passed away a little too young, too.
Yeah, he's since passed on, but
he was man.
Too. I loved how the eye would move and the ears would wiggle and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
can we talk about how many famous people are in this movie? Because you got first of all, the one that I forgot, you have Robert Davi. He's the Fratelli brother who sings all the opera. And
Uh-huh.
he's just in a ton of mob movies and 80s crime movies. I think he's in, I just saw him in like a
Die
really
Hard.
cheesy. Oh, he was in Action Jackson. He's in Die
Oh,
Hard.
really?
Yeah, he's in all
Nice.
kinds of stuff. I need to take a drink. Sorry.
Yeah, he was in Die Hard as one of the Special Agent Johnson. He was
Right.
amazing.
Yeah, but then I mean, you got Samwise Gamgee right there, the main character. Of course, you got Thanos, his older brother, right? Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, man.
And then you have that Joe Pantaleone, the guy that was on the Sopranos.
Joey Pants.
And and Joey Pants.
He's in The
and
Fugitive.
He was also The Matrix.
The Matrix. You're right. Yeah.
And he's and I love how they do make the jokes about his hairpiece and all that. But so I kind of derailed you there with all the different awesome actors. But this character, Chunk, I really do like him, and I think you're right on the heart of this story. I think the most heartfelt part is the self-sacrifice of the kids to give the treasure to the parents. But this kid's arc is a microcosm of that, where you can tell he's kind of the impulsive, reckless. He eats a little too much. That's why he's chubby. He's always telling lies to impress people. He's kind of this out of control, in a way, kid, very impulsive. And he meets and he's the reject of his group too. They make fun of him. They tease him. And then you look at Sloth, and he's the reject of his family. And I think that's where he connects with this guy on that level. And you said it was really sad, like, you're going to live with me now. It was really sad for me when he's when
holding
Sloth
the rock,
holding the boulder in the cave, and the kids are escaping out the cave. He's like, "You're going to get crushed," and he's like, "It's played for laughs, but it's also played seriously that he really thinks his friend's going to die under these boulders."
And he says, "Sloth love Chunk,"
right.
And he reaches down to touch his hand one time. And I'm going to tell you this, Gabe.
Yeah,
I try to imagine you in a situation like that with a bunch of kids trying to get out. And the reason why I know that affects you is you know full well you would lift that rock.
Of course.
I love children, man. Come on, man.
I coach so much Little League soccer and Pop Warner football, and I love being around kids and coaching them. And like, that's a passion of mine, is being a sports coach and all that. And I can't wait to have grandkids now, because my kids are grown. My son's going to be 23 in 2 days. Yeah, you know what I got him for his birthday?
What'd you get him?
He is going to the heavyweight championship of the world for UFC on Saturday.
Oh my God, what a great present, man.
I got tickets in November. And he's going to go see Francis Ngannou fight Cyril Gane for the heavyweight champion of the world. And then Brandon Moreno is facing Figueiredo Davison for the bantamweight. So you have the heaviest UFC guys and the lightest UFC guys are both going for the belt on Saturday. And my son is going to that with one of his well-off friends. They got a nice condo up there in LA and everything. So I'm really excited for him, because we watch the pay-per-views here at the house. So he's excited. Very cool.
That uppercut against Overeem was one of the most horrifying punches I've ever seen.
That uppercut against Overeem is, I paused it and I'm using it in Beef Law as a reference drawing.
Yeah, he threw that from the nosebleed section. Like, that thing traveled some distance. And, it's true. It's the great Richard Donner. Rest in peace, and he did give us so many great movies.
Right, yeah, Richard Donner, he did give us Lethal Weapon, Superman, and this, right? So,
well, but that's
a career right there. He doesn't need to do anything else.
And if I could speak to because something I was just thinking about with the swearing and things like that too, because I do think about it. Like I've heard, because I love comedy, and when I see, obviously, you've got a lot of love for comedy in your house. But when I see that kind of stuff, the thing that what I think makes it work is that it's saying altruism can come from anywhere. It can come from anybody. It can come from that smart aleck kid. So can heroism. It's never too late to do the right thing. That kind of comes from your core. You know what I mean? And it doesn't. And Sloth, in a lot of ways, with the Superman on his chest, which is a great little Richard Donner nod, as far as I'm concerned. In that musical.
Yeah, he rips the shirt open, and it's Richard Donner directed this movie, right? So.
He is the symbol of the Goonies. He is the outcast. He is the person who is that people don't see any value in. He's worthless. You know what I mean? To his parents, essentially, for his mother and his siblings. And he reveals himself to have like the most incredible heart of all time. He's totally self-sacrificing. It's brilliant, man.
Right. Yeah, and Ragu Overlord says Richard Donner, he did co-write some Superman comics with Jeff Johns.
God, love Richard Donner.
I think what I've heard through the grapevine working in the business is that, and I think this is publicly known, that Jeff Johns' big mentor in Hollywood was Richard Donner. That somehow they made friends. I don't know how. And then he taught Jeff Johns a lot about writing and storytelling and all that. So I know that they were personally good friends, is what I've been told. So
beautiful.
And Keely Chow shows up late. Hey, everybody, what's going on? Oh, no, just winning at life completely and
that's
talking
exactly
about
right.
The Goonies, one of the great 1980s movies. And so does Nosferatu, because I know that my books, Beef Law, Truth, Justice, American Way, they have this in them. They have this thing the Goonies has. It's one of the main movies I talk about when I talk about the spirit I want to feel.
Yep.
Now, don't tell us the plot to Nosferatu, but is it something you think about a lot when you're working on it? You want that fun action adventure, and it's not just ugly. You know what I mean? Because there's ugly action adventure that's depressing to watch. But how do you, in the most general sense, how do you capture this exciting, swashbuckling fun when you're writing and working on your stuff?
Yeah, I certainly don't believe in the theater of and I'm using it a little bit off here, the term, but I don't believe in the theater of alienation. I don't believe in driving the audience away, and because to me that's absurd. It's an anti-aesthetic thing.
Right.
And it's so when you see my story, it is about in a lot of ways the thing that's really important to me. It's a message to people that good can come from anybody, and that the things that happen to you don't necessarily, don't dictate your destiny. They're your experiences, and sometimes they're difficult to overcome. And so it's about, in a lot of ways, it's about, this werewolf monster taking on this father role once they escape the clutches of these vampires. And it's about nobility. It's about fighting evil. It's about finding purpose. And, I can't overstate how important that is, and what, was said in the chat, which by Love God Bible Truth, which I thought was great, is, they reveal that Sloth was dropped on his head. He was mistreated and all this other stuff. But here's the crazy thing. He is not a monster. The most monstrous people in the movie are the three people who have shut him away as a monster.
Right.
And that's it,
Yeah, I think when you're describing Nosferatu and how you get that sense of excitement, and I think we can boil it down to this, and I don't want to attack the other side, but I think it's cynicism. Mm-hmm. We are not cynical in the stories that we love, and we're not cynical in the stories that we're telling. We want to believe the best about people, and I love what you said, that altruism can come from anyone. I know it's Star Wars, and Star Wars is goofy. I love Star Wars. It was the first thing I got into in pop culture when I was 3, 4.
Yeah.
But the character arc for Darth Vader, Return of the Jedi, is his real character arc. He's sitting there choking on his own blood, dying at the end of the movie. And he tells Luke, leave me, save yourself. He's all, no, there's still good in you. I can feel it. And you got this Darth Vader that was horrible, murdering all the Padawans and doing all this horrible stuff his whole life.
Yeah.
But when the moment came, the real final moment where he had to make a decision to betray his master, the Emperor, to save his son, he did it. And it cost him his own life. He was electrocuted to death, basically. Yeah. So I feel like for all of us, it's never too late until they bury you at the end. Then it is over and there's nothing else. But man, to the last minute, you can always redeem yourself. You can always turn it around. So I love the hopefulness you're talking about. I love
they give you that choice too, don't they? I mean, it's like, and by the way, hi, Stephen Rockwood, Drawing, Julie Pascal, all of you guys who are in here, Mighty Geek Studios, Paul, it's great to see you guys. Charles Lee. This is the thing for me about this, right? This is the thing, and I can't overstate this. Don't hate the player, hate the game, Julie. This is the thing about it, right? Is that there are several moments in that movie where they present you as an audience member with choice. And that's what I love, where they're standing there and he goes, the only way we can go is go down into the fireplace. It all starts here. Then they get to the well and they can get out at the well. And they're like, no, like if you go up, like Mikey in a lot of ways is that altruistic character, but they're making choices to do things. And everybody in that story at various points, finds their courage and stands up. But then let's also talk about the fact that the visuals in this are pure Disney generation kids grown up, like Spielberg, who grew up on Disney in the 50s, Donner, all these guys. Escapism. It's Pirates of the Caribbean. It's water slides. It's pirate treasure maps. It's everything they grew up on, but pitched to us new.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's something we haven't talked about on this show. I've talked about it to people plenty. I am a Disney fanatic. Now, I am not a Disney adult. I don't do that weird thing where Disney's your personality. But as someone who loves to draw, write, make
Yeah.
comics, I made a ton of model airplanes, dioramas, all
Mhm.
that. I love the artistry of Disneyland itself as a place. So when I go there and I see that haunted house and I go through it, I'm in heaven. I just love it so much. When I go through the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, I love the artistry. When I have billions of dollars, I'm going to build my own theme park. This is something I've only shared with a few people. I love stuff like that. I love creating worlds. You know that game Warhammer with the little space marines and all that?
Yes, I do.
I never played it. I would just paint it, paint the army tanks, paint the orcs, because I love the artistry of just creating. I would make worlds just like on a big sheet of plywood. We'd have a table to play on, me and my brother, and I would burn styrofoam and then spray paint it and sprinkle dust on it and just make all these battle walls and all that. And that's when I go to Disneyland, I just think, oh, this is just a big version of that. This is just
what the hell is even going on anymore, Gabe? You don't understand, man. My best friend growing up is a Warhammer 40K fanatic, and we used to paint those miniatures together. I went to Disney World on my honeymoon, and I love theme parks my entire life. The design of them, the artistry behind them.
Right.
When I go there, and obviously taking my kids there was huge, but I mean, people like Mark Davis and people who were all the Imagineers who concepted that stuff. These were my heroes, and I always said to people, "Here's one of my favorite pitches." Yeah, John Matusak. I totally thank you for getting that in the chat. Leg kick one. I appreciate that.
I'm listening, but I'm going to grab a book from right here. But I am listening.
Absolutely, grab it, man. And this is the thing I'm going to tell you guys about Nosfero. The first pitch I made when I was explaining it to someone what my aesthetic is when I'm doing Nosfero is this. I go, when I go to illustrate a page, it's like I'm decorating the page for Halloween when I do a scary scene, or I'm decorating it like a theme park. It's like a Frazetta painting. And I always watch shows that kind of live in the genre that I'm doing at the moment. And I was a big fan of the Witcher books, listen to those audiobooks, but I've been watching just the aesthetics of the creature design and the stories in the Witcher. And I'm thinking high fantasy, horror, monsters, fights. Hell yeah. That's the stuff I love. Oh, what do we got?
Hold on.
Oh, snap.
Hold on. Let me turn off the green screen. Sorry.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was just going to go. Oh, yeah. Which one is that one?
How do I turn this? I guess. Okay. Yeah, I got this a few months back. It's a full history of the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland. And when I have the money, I'm going to build my own theme park. I don't care. I'm going to buy some land. And this just tells you all the history that Mark Davis, when you said Mark Davis, I was like, yes. His cartooning is so like Don Martin from Mad Magazine and all that. It's just absolutely fantastic. So
I was looking around for my copy because I have an older copy of it of that
same book, huh?
The same book. And oh wait, oh god, can we do this?
Go for it.
We gotta see. How about this, guys? Let's do this. All right. If they give us, I will go and grab something while Gabe kills time. Would you guys like to see my Halloween decoration paintings that might relate to this conversation? Give us some ones in the chat.
I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it. I would love it.
They got to have some, but they got to put some ones in the chat, folks, or we can't do it. You know, we got to have some ones happen there. If I get a couple ones, I'll think about it. We'll see.
Wow. Jay Lee says, I'm the same age as the Disney World Cinderella Castle. I was born on the day they signed off on it complete. Wow. Yeah, I can just talk to them about Disneyland if you want to go grab your things. We got some ones in the chat.
Okay, that's enough. Yeah, we got those. All right, I'll be right back, man.
I can talk about Disneyland. That's no problem. Let's zoom in on me because I love me some me. Right, guys? So anyway, I'll tell you guys about my love of Disneyland. And that's the thing. I'm a West Coaster. I'm a San Diegan, Californian. We don't say Disney. I don't know what's going on with you people on the East Coast, but I don't approve of this. Quit saying you're going to Disney. Quit saying you're taking your kids to Disney. Say you're taking them to Disney World. When I hear people say they're going to Disney, it's very confusing for me. Anyway, growing up in San Diego, to get to Disneyland from my house, if there's no traffic, it takes an hour or less. You know what I mean? You can fly up the 5. We say the in California for our freeways. We say the 5, the 15, all that stuff. And we go to Disneyland multiple times a year. Just like once or twice, and I just fell in love again with the artistry because I love art. I love art as much as you can love something that's not a human being. I love it. That's what God put in me. I just love model airplanes and dioramas and action figures and sculptures and paintings. I love to cook. I'm a good cook because my dad's a gourmet chef. And then on my mom's side, my grandparents had a restaurant for 50 years. So I learned a lot of technique growing up because everything was homemade. And when I cook, I feel the same as when I'm drawing and when I'm writing. It's like that's an art to me too. So going to Disneyland all the time, I was just blown away looking at the haunted house and looking at all the stuff. It's like it's a fake world, but they made it and it looks amazing. So for my 25th wedding anniversary, and I've gone over this on some other shows, but I'll just relate it again. My wife and I booked a trip to Disney World because we're in San Diego. I can hit the ocean from my house with a rock. Now I would have to be able to throw the rock like 3.5 miles, but I can't. If it's possible, I would do it. But we booked a trip, hotel. No. We had like a condo suite. We had the rent a car.
Nice.
We had the round trip ticket. We had the whole thing. And there was all those airplane strikes. So we drove. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
drove out there. And I'll wrap this up since you're back. And I got to see America. And that's where I got this Buc-ee's t-shirt. I fell in love with Buc-ee's truck stops in Texas.
Nice.
They have the greatest brisket sandwiches and breakfast tacos. And I've been to Texas like 2 or 3 times, but just for a minute. Never been to Mississippi. Never been to Louisiana. Always wanted to go to New Orleans and see it.
Yeah.
There's just like so much culture there. Never been to Alabama. Never been to Florida. And my wife and I, we took a 2-week vacation, 25th wedding anniversary. It was a trip of a lifetime. This country is more impressive and more beautiful, more wonderful than I ever thought. And I, as you know, love America. So anyway, I went out there to Disney World, but Shanth is back. We can get back to my Disney ranting some other time.
So for my kids' 8th birthday, and things will probably fall as I try to show these. But their birthday is in mid-October, so we always do a Halloween-themed birthday party. So I painted these.
Oh,
birthday party. And I did, I forget how many, I think I did a bunch. These are the ones I grabbed. But when Dad's an artist, the way we save money is we bang these things out as fast as we can before the birthday party. And here, you'll appreciate this as a dad. Oh, God, this one's got a heavy frame on it. Sorry about the noise. This one's got a super heavy frame on it. But there you go. You know this one.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know what these are, when you go to Disneyland or Disney World and you go in the haunted house, they have to use an elevator to take you down and then you go into the ride because for space reasons, you had to go under the train track that goes around Disneyland. So when you go in the elevator room, they have a scary voice and there's lightning and all this creepy stuff. That's beautiful, Shanth. Let me put you big. Why am I not putting you big up here?
Well, this one was fun because the face changes and I couldn't do that. So I actually made the tiger face kind of hidden so you can see both.
Right, you combined it. That's great. I saw the tiger, and then when you said it was both, it flipped in my mind, and I saw the woman. That was pretty amazing.
We got to make it fun for the kids,
right? So anyway, those first ones Shanth was showing, you see the top half of the picture, and then the elevator starts going down, but they frame the pictures in a way where it looks like they're stretching. So one of the first things in Disneyland in the haunted house is this trippy thing where you're in this scary stretching room. So bravo on those. Those were gorgeous.
And as kids, when we grew up, that's why it was a little off. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you know what? Leg kick.
Yeah.
Great fan. Know him on Facebook. He said his dad helped build the haunted mansion.
That's awesome.
I forgot he told me that his dad worked for Disney and all that. So bravo. Oh, man, I hope you have some artifacts or something at your house, Leg kick. That's absolutely. Right. He's a Los Angeles original.
This is the stuff, though, right? When we were watching, as a kid, when I was watching Goonies, I remember seeing that as a kid. It was the thing that was interesting about it was almost like an 80s Disney film. Do you know what I mean? Like, God, look at even that poster. That's Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's
the fact that there's there's a pirate ship in a cave is literally Pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
It's that sequence where you come around the corner and you see the pirate ships and you're in that dark cave. That's all they wanted to do. It's like an homage from the Disney generation. And, I don't know what, Richard Donner's, sensibility was or what his impulse was for it. But part of me thinks in a lot of ways, or Spielberg for that matter, that they were looking around and seeing this very disenfranchised, generation that was, I don't want to say disenfranchised, like, oh, poor kids, but you know what I mean? Like they were getting a lot of cynical. The 70s was an incredibly cynical time. It wasn't like the 50s that these kids grew up with, the Disney generation. So they were seeing all this stuff and they were like going, let's take these kids riding their bikes around with not a lot of parental influence and let's connect them to this N.C. Wyeth, Walt Disney, Howard Pyle part of American, fiction Let's
Right.
take them out of the 80s, or sorry, out of the 70s, early 80s. Indiana Jones did it too fairly well, but
Very
it was
good.
that
Yeah.
same thing. It just put you there.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
I
were
think,
definitely
yeah.
influenced by that.
Angela says, I wonder if they were influenced by the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Well, Shanth said it. He said, you have a pirate ship in a cave. And
Yep.
if you've ever been to Disneyland or Disney World, not Disney, you know that there's a pirate ship and you're in like a cave-like setting at first. And the Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride at Disneyland, but Pirates is a close second. And they're
Yeah,
not
Haunted
like
Mansion.
exciting rides. They don't move fast. They move at like 1 mile an hour. But the artistry, it's just such a, if you haven't been, you have to go. It's so beautiful, the artistry of these things.
Yeah, I mean, and think about this too. There were definitely some illustrations that had elements of this, but it wasn't until the Pirates of the Caribbean ride where you saw skeletons that looked like they died while they were in the middle of something,
Oh,
sitting at tables. Like what? Like when did that? How did that go down? Do you know what I
right.
mean? Like you'd always look at it and go, "Who was the
That's
person?"
the sense of humor of designer Mark Davis.
Yes, it
You
is.
know that's
Absolutely.
him. Oh, that's his fingerprints all over that. Mark Davis was a great designer for Disney. WED was Walt Disney Design or whatever it was, a company he made.
Yeah.
And he had this real great like Mad Magazine sense of humor. So all the humor you see in the Haunted Mansion, all that was him. And then the lead on the project was Xavier Atencio. They called him X Atencio.
Yeah.
And his
Yeah.
stuff was much more serious and spooky and actually scary. So that's where the Haunted Mansion has that tonal shift between singing crazy ghosts that are silly, and then some of it's just kind of macabre. So yeah, I love the combination, man. So you get me going on the Haunted Mansion, and that's what this feels like for these kids. They go subterranean in One-Eyed Willie's, booby traps and all that. But it is like a haunted house, somewhat in an abstract way,
Yeah, it was Raiders of the Lost Ark meets, what do you call it? Meets Treasure Island, or but Walt Disney's version of Treasure Island.
Right. I mean, and you even had that the kid that was Short Round in Indiana Jones, and then he's also in this too. So there's a connection there.
Yeah, and they're aware of pop culture. They're aware of things like James Bond. They're aware of all the various things that are going on. Gremlins, they had a nod to it, so it's almost like it's in that, that universe. But it's crazy. Yeah, Paul's got one great here.
Right. Paul says the story structure was impeccable. Relatable teen characters established. Inciting incident, losing the family home. And then the treasure map found, adventure begins, wholesome ending. It was. Yeah, I think it did have a lot of heart. And again, we go back to the macro thing is all the kids adventure, sacrificing for their parents.
Yep.
And then the micro version of the having heart is the arc between these two. So I think it was just masterfully done. It's got a lot of heart. It's a great movie. It really is one of the great movies.
It is, and it's funny too because we talk about all this stuff. Like I've got a book around here somewhere because God, you and I, we love our books, right?
Oh,
I've got a book that's on Mark Davis called Mark Davis, Disney's Renaissance Man. Do you have that one? Ooh, what do you got there?
Do we love our books?
Oh no, Toshin.
Don't let me change the subject too much. I'll turn off my.
No, man. We're here, man.
But
let's do it.
This monster is this is how you get muscles like me. You order this thing and they ship it to you from wherever. Yeah, this is
While you show that, I'm gonna grab something.
First 20 issues of Spider-Man. But no, I don't want to interrupt Goonie talk. You said we love books, so I thought I would mention that. But I just got this in the mail today. I ordered this like a month ago. I don't know if it came from overseas or what. It came in a box like 4 times bigger than it. A huge old box. But this thing, Toshin, for any of you out there that know, Toshin makes some gorgeous books. Keep in mind, I am 6'4", 290 pounds, and you see how big this book looks next to me. This is a giant book. But I saw the great illustrator for DC right now, Brad Walker. He got this, I think, at Christmas. And then my buddy, Chuck Dixon, who I have on my channel, he'll be back soon. He had this too. So I had to jump in and order one. So I thought Shanth is off grabbing oak. Let me catch up on the chat. And you guys in the chat are fantastic. Leg Kick Cat, if you guys want to scroll through the chat later, Leg Kick has all this great information about his dad working for Walt Disney and all that. I've been reading them. I haven't been bringing them up on the screen because I don't know the context for everybody if they'd understand it. But thank you for sharing all that great stuff, Leg Kick. Let's see. Jay Lee says, man, your memories of the Goonies movie and mine are totally different. I was dragged to the theater to see this movie, had no info on it, no trailer info or anything. So did you like it, Jay Lee, though? Don't leave us hanging.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, you're back. I didn't know you were
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I couldn't track the book down, but
Oh, I thought you
yeah,
were running around your house. He says, to me, till they got into the cave, I did not understand the movie at all and thought it sucked till close to the end. Oh, we have a
there you go.
dissenter in our ranks. That's fine. I don't care.
I bet you money that Jay Lee suffered from what a lot of people suffered from with that movie, which it could have just not been liking the movie, but
Right.
they released another movie at the exact same time called Ghoulies and Goonies,
Oh,
and they had completely almost impossible to tell what the hell the movies were about trailers, and so a lot of people had no idea what any of these movies were about. They weren't great ad campaigns, you know. Oh, and
right.
SDA is asking if you liked it on rewatch.
Oh, me? I didn't see Goonies growing up. I saw it about 4 or 5 years ago for the first time,
Wow.
and I was thrilled. And then I watched it again last night in preparation for the show,
Yeah.
and just as thrilled. It totally holds up. It's a great, great movie. I, as you guys know, I love art, and I've been over it. Like I just another little hobby of mine was the newspaper as a kid. I loved Garfield and Snoopy, and I would read all
Mhm.
those over and over. And that was my first love. Before regular comic books, I loved comic strips. And I actually did one in college very successfully. I won first place in the entire United States for my humor writing in 2004 from Columbia University. And I won
Yeah.
multiple awards for 2 years writing a strip called Higher Education, where you have the dumb frat house bro, and then you have the straight man. It's your typical Smothers Brothers comedy. One was a monkey, one was a penguin. They were named Merlin and James. And I love that stuff. And I would always read the paper, but here's how I'll bring that back around. The other section of the newspaper that I loved were the print ads for movies. We never went to the movies. My parents were divorced. My mom was a single mother a lot. We had a stepdad off. We had a couple stepdads, but there wasn't a ton of money being spent. So I never really went to the movies. I think my mom and dad took me to 3 movies growing up. I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
And but I love the idea of movies and all that. And we would watch Star Wars on VHS and all that. But I would look at these black and white ads in the newspaper and just look at them and look at them and look at them and just imagine, I wonder what that movie's about. And it had a robot or a monster or a King Kong or something, but we would never go. One movie I was obsessed with because my favorite monster is the creature from the Black Lagoon. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
coolest designs I've ever seen in my life. Was Monster Squad. Very
Yep.
similar to Goonies. Came out like a year or 2 later, I think. Never got to see it because, like I said, we were not poor, but they just weren't not a lot of money being spent on me and my brother Abe. By the way, my name is Gabe and my brother's name is Abe. Very funny, mom and dad, and it's Abraham and Gabriel. But anyway, I finally saw Monster Squad. This is the longest story, just to tell you guys. That's a terrible movie. I was so disappointed. I waited like 35 years to see a Monster Squad, and it sucks. So
Well,
I don't know if you've seen it, but to
I
me,
have,
it
I
was
don't
like the
remember
Goonies cousin, that movie. It was like a related to Goonies in my mind. And it's not a good movie. It is not, no, didn't like it.
I didn't see it till I saw it a while ago, and I don't remember a lot about it. But the biggest thing was to me is when you were telling that story that came to me is you have to understand we're probably from a similar experience in some ways. One of the things I did is I remember when I saw the RoboCop poster, they printed it large for opening weekend in our
Right,
newspaper, and I cut it out, used a glue stick to glue it to a comic book backing board, then
right,
put it in a poly bag where I could see it.
right.
And then
Just look at it, right?
cut to when I was in college freshman year during winter session, I had a class taught by, and I met Alan Reingold, the movie poster artist who painted that poster of him getting out of the car. And I was like, "You did what now?" He couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I was like, "I had that on my wall as like an art ambition." And I think we're all like that, all of us in
Right.
CG.
I cried so much over RoboCop in 3rd grade.
That's a
Uncle
rough
Dave
movie.
came from Colorado to San Diego to visit my mom and my brother and and me. And Uncle Dave was a lawyer. He had a lot of money. He was the guy that would take us to Disneyland every year, by the way. I told you guys what
Nice.
Disneyland was right here. Uncle Dave would come and pay for everyone to go because he was a lawyer and he did really good. And I was in 3rd grade. My brother was in 4th, and my cousins would have been in 7th and like 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that RoboCop poster too with him getting out of the car in the newspaper, the black and white ads.
Yeah, you know the one.
And Uncle Dave said at dinner he was going to take the boys to go see RoboCop. And my mother said, "No way, that's rated R." And I cried and cried. And I didn't get to go. I did not get to go see RoboCop.
Well, the sadder story for me was I saw that cool robot, and they took me to see it, and and I loved the movie, but man, that's a movie that'll stay with you when you're a young lad. You know,
Did it scare you when the toxic waste guy gets melted
No,
and blown
man.
up? Or
It was when Peter Weller was murdered. That was the part.
was it Boddicker? Is that the name of the guy?
Yeah.
Right.
when they're just torturing that cat for like hours.
Yeah,
But I'll tell you,
that's a bad murder scene. I didn't see most movies until I was in my 20s or 30s. My mother was very strict, and we didn't have TV. My mother's credo to me and my brother, a day in and day out, was go outside and play or go do something creative. So I do something creative for a living, but it wasn't you're going to sit in front of the TV and rot your brain. We were not allowed to do that, and they didn't even pay for cable. So,
well, as you know, not
yeah,
having those experiences stunted your ability to find yourself in Hollywood. So it's a shame,
not at
Gabe.
all.
You know, if only.
I think honestly, I know you're joking, obviously. I'm not
Yeah.
being serious because it's not true, but I think honestly, it gave me an advantage because I came in here with a little bit of tabula rasa, a little bit of blank slate where I didn't have all kinds of preconceived notions about what should and shouldn't be. And I think in some ways, was just more myself. I was allowed to watch some things at my grandma's house. I would watch G.I. Joe and Transformers. I wasn't allowed to watch He-Man because Skeletor looked like a devil or something to my mom, so I wasn't allowed to watch it. So there's a lot of this old stuff I missed out on. You know what I mean? So again,
You
I
know,
tell you, I saw
McConaughey said
movies
the
like
same thing, though, right? Like
say it again.
McConaughey's mom would say, Matthew McConaughey, his mom did the same thing. She was like, go outside and play,
Right.
go outside and do
Right.
things the whole time. And it's an amazing sort of thing for me when I see that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Like it's one of those movies that I think I was, God, 8 or 9 maybe when I saw that. I
Okay.
shudder to think, but that's yeah, that was an intense movie to watch. And I think that it's one of those things where I say to people a lot of times when it comes to the imagination, um, I look to the people who created all the stuff in Disney World. I think about Marceline, Kansas, you know what I mean, and I think about Walt Disney, you know, growing up in Missouri. I think it was Marceline, Kansas, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken, and then growing up in Missouri, and you know, Walt was one of those creators that you know he couldn't afford. There was a theme park that was behind a fence near where they lived. They could never afford to go to, and
Yeah.
it was like a amusement park. And you think about how those things drive us. And I think
Oh,
that for
definitely.
me, when you see where the kids are growing up, that they're broke, that they have these imaginations, they're trying to be creative with what they've got, you know, they're going to lose their house. The idea of telling a story that, you know, in a lot of ways it was these kids, although there was a corpse involved at some point, these
Right.
kids were breaking into Disney World. Like
Yeah.
they were breaking into this world of magic that had been separated for them. And you know, you see the country club and all of the standard sort of stuff, but it's you know, for me, I think, you know, beyond that, it was it's this thing that you saw crop up a little bit again with Stranger Things, funny enough. You
Right.
know,
Right. Well, those
it,
kids aren't rotting their brain in front of the TV. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons. They're riding bikes. They're doing all that.
imagination.
Imagine, and you know what? The best way to get your imagination rolling as a child is to be bored
Yep.
because your mind as a kid won't let you bore yourself. If you're sitting there and all you got is like a soup can and some other crap in front of you, you'll turn it into a spaceship. You know what I mean? You'll do something with the things around you to entertain yourself and play. It's a very normal thing for all of us. So yeah, I think it's you know for my kids, I didn't like we're not doing a bunch of video games, we're not doing a bunch of TV, and I think it paid off for them a lot. So I really thank my mom for that. I know I tell people that they're like, oh my God, you weren't allowed to watch basically anything. Like no, we had a rotation of about 10 movies on VHS, and that's what we were
Yep.
allowed to watch.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
three or four of them were like religious. It was like what was it like Ben Hur, The Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
I can
But
name them all for you. El Cid, there's not religious, but it's a good movie. Glory, we were allowed to. We had that because
love Glory.
great movie.
One of
And
my
then
favorite.
the Star Wars trilogy, Blues Brothers, and just a few more. You know, I grew up
Yeah.
watching those movies. So all this stuff, the way I got into Van Damme and all that is like at my buddy's house on a Friday night in middle
Yeah.
school and high school. So Dan Lawless, who's a great artist, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
I don't have his info, but like his links and his all that. But check out Dan Lawless. I'm sure you can just Dan, if you want to write what you are on Twitter in there. I think he might be doing some stuff with CG soon. I don't want to speak for you, Dan, but I've seen some stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic work, buddy. He says, we were the same growing up outside. It's a better way because you need to draw on the real world when you create. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's see. Oh, Charles Lee has trivia for us. Let's see if it's any. Here's a bit of trivia for those out there. The comic strips were the precursor to the comic book. It took a certain individual by the name of Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson to give us the modern version. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you for the education. And then Angela concurring with you about Robocop, the shot in the head scene.
Yeah, that was some gory stuff, you know, and And that was that. If there's one thing I'll say about all of this sort of thing is that there was there were different phases of what we were allowed to be exposed to. So if the 50s were a very child centric, make everything about kids, much like it was, I think, for the millennial generation, it
Right.
became again a very hyper centered on the kids thing. The 70s, and I would say the 70s and the 80s were the 70s were, oh, we have kids. And the 80s were, exposing us to, basically the parents who grew up in the 50s made all of the mainstream entertainment sort of nods to their own experiences, but put all these really adult themes in them. So
Yeah.
when something like Star Wars would come along, which was so, mythic and optimistic, it really did stand out. And we grew up pretty fast. We were exposed to a lot of things in our lives and in, all of it pretty
Right.
fast. We didn't have that, we didn't have the cleavers, and Leave It to Beaver as our thing we saw growing up. We had some good stuff, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll get to the super chat. I've told people this before. We're both, I guess you would say, Generation X. I was born in 1978. You were born in what, 76? Yeah. So we're Gen X. We're not millennials. We're not boomers. And I think one thing about Gen X that's so beautiful, and I feel grateful and privileged to have grown up in that generation, is we had one foot as Americans solidly in the past. The idealistic 50s thing that our parents were raised in, being born in the 40s and 50s, our parents, that idealism that they had and purity and family values, and then we had another foot in modernity where we had computers in the home and microwaves and, modern technology was starting to come in. Some of my friends had internet like in 1990, like 2 or 3, like before anyone had it really. I know there were really like nerds that had it in the early 80s, like 82, 83. They're on message boards and all that. So I think being a Gen Xer, you have one foot in true post-World War II Americana and the other foot in, Microsoft, Windows coming. And it was a great time. I think now the young people, all of that Americana is like mostly gone. And that's such a shame.
It's funny. I always say
so much for us.
I always tell my wife, I go, I always refer to us as, because I've known some people who are more Gen Xery, and there's a rather, dark way to tell if somebody's Gen X. I always have this one question, for them. And if they answer it, like I go, oh, you're clearly Gen X, but it's too dark. But it's one of those things to where
can you ask it, or is it?
I can ask. It's not foul, but if you say to somebody who's Gen X, if you say to someone in Gen X the word sex, the first thing that comes to their mind.
Is it the Pepsi can or the Lion King?
No, it's AIDS.
Oh, well, that too. Okay. I didn't know you were being serious.
No, but it's true. No, but I always tell people this is that when you talk to Gen Xers, like our whole thing was this, you get to this time in your life, everything's death. It's almost the same thing what goes on right now. And so you see these kids and you see, the entertainment of our time, everything was really dark, like in terms of we were having fun. So there was a little bit of that. You're right. The Americana, but it's, as someone who was born in 76, I always refer to us as Generation G, which is, and I'm saying it's tongue in cheek, but we're like, I was about the exact same age, I think, as, or almost the same age as Gertie and E.T. So I always think of Gen X as being the older brother, Michael, and then Elliot on the extreme. And then we were like the little kids who were looking up at the stuff that was already in motion, trying to figure it out. And so, because we're kind of on the cusp, and if you look at a lot of the people who are in their 40s, like this little pocket of people, we're all in this very narrow window in the Gen X. Because my brother from another mother, my studio mate, just turned 60, and he's Gen X. And so he's like the bleeding edge of that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so
I'm the very end of it. I think if I was a little bit younger, I'd be a millennial, which is so weird sounding to me.
Yeah.
Because millennial, I guess, would be 1980, right? So I'm a year and a half older than millennials. Let me get this super chat.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
$2 from Leg Kick One, the great Los Angelino. You acquit your city nicely, Leg Kick.
Absolutely right.
Do you know about Camp Murray in San Diego? I know of it, but I don't know exactly what you're asking about it. But if you want to ask a more detailed question, I can tell you if I know about it. So sure, I love San Diego. Indulge me for 1 second here. You always do.
Yep.
There's this great segment on the local like CBS or whatever affiliate from the 80s, and he did it until like 5-10 years ago. He's an old man now. It was called About San Diego. And 5-minute segments where he would go to the old railroad station and do blah 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 blah. And oh my god, I'm one of those people that loves their city. They love it. And I think most people do, but I love San Diego. If you guys have never been here, it is everything you want. It's a major city, so it has all the convenience, but then it's like a small big city. I don't even know how to describe it. There isn't traffic like LA and all that, even though 3 million people live in the county. And I don't know, San Diego is just the official nickname is America's finest city. So I don't know, when he mentioned Camp Murray and all the rich history San Diego has, it's the first mission that the Spanish, the Catholics, the first mission is Mission San Diego. And then they made missions all the way up El Camino Real. There's missions going all the way up the coast here. But yeah, we were that first city they built here. So love San Diego. Come here and visit. Please don't move here. I don't want it too crowded.
Yeah, that's right.
Have you been here, Shanth? I know you're in East Coast.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, hung out in the Gaslight District, all that stuff. Great food, good times.
Yeah. Do you say, now you're on East Coast, I'm on West Coast. That's a little Tupac Biggie thing going on. Do you say Disney or do you say Disney World? Like you say, I'm going to take the kids to, what would you say, Disney World or Disney? If you're going to Orlando, what would you say?
I think I would have said Disney, and I'll tell you the funny thing is that it is, you got to imagine, you live in California, man. If you live where I grew up, which is around Georgia, Disney is shorthand for Orlando.
Oh, really?
It's not even like, okay, so in the South, like some of you guys may back me up. Those of you from the South may know what I'm talking about. In the South, if you go to a restaurant and they ask you what you want to drink, you say, I want a Coke. Right, if they say to you, and if they then say, oh, you know, all we have is Pepsi, you look at them and go, yeah, Coke. Like it means anything brown, carbonated, caffeine. And so we say, like, people go, what are you doing? We're going down to Disney. We're going to do Universal, Disney World.
Really?
That's what it was like.
You could go to Orlando. You could go to Orlando and not even go to Disney World and still say you're going to Disney.
Yeah, it's a short and simple way of doing it. Like, because people don't usually say we're going to Orlando. They will say like we're going to Universal, we're going to Disney, but they'll say we're going to go down to Florida, do Disney.
I think people, you know, even myself, when I drove to Orlando from San Diego in November, you get a sense for how big this country is, and you realize the culture here is very different because of it, because we're isolated. None of us really go to Mexico or Canada. So we stay in America mostly, you know, and then our country is like bigger than Europe. You know, I could drive across France faster than I could drive to San Francisco from my house. You know what I mean? All the way east to west in France, it's 400 and something miles. Colorado, my home state, is 400 miles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I say that to say, there's a different culture on the East Coast that I pick up on. When I started working with DC Comics, a lot of them, it was all still in New York. And I noticed, they are rude New Yorkers, but it's not rudeness. It's just a directness that we're not used to out here in California.
Efficiency.
And I think that's all a part of geography and then family tradition, because I would say that America looks like a splatter map. Europeans came over here, they hit New York and all that, and the East Coast, and most of it stays there, and then some of it sprinkles out across the country to the West Coast. And the people on your end, Boston, New York, some of you guys have been there hundreds of years. You know what I mean? Literally hundreds of years. You come out to the West Coast, it's like, my parents moved here in 1986. You know, my parents moved here in 19. So the traditions here are much shorter, mostly, than back east, and I think that leads to a different culture, like slightly different culture, where the East Coast, the coastal, is probably more European feeling, more liberal feeling. You know, like Europe itself is a little more liberal and all that stuff. This is just a theory I have. I'm an artist for a living. I'm not a.
No, but you know, it's sort of funny because I've bounced around. Obviously, I've bounced around a bit. I was born in Houston, Texas, and my formative years from 7 to 17. I grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and the thing that's kind of, you know, interesting to me about things like that is I try to imagine watching not only just movies, you know, that were about New York and about New England when I was a kid growing up in Tennessee, but I had no concept of what like Astoria, Oregon was.
Right.
Like when I'm watching the Goonies, or like what. Like, here's another one growing up in Tennessee, but I had not taken a trip to an American ocean until I met my wife in college. So It was like seeing kids run on the beach. Oh, yeah. We got to the beach, and one of my favorite stories, my wife's favorite stories, is she goes, she's like, all right, let's get all the beach stuff. We go down the beach. She folds out the chairs, sit down. I go, all right, so what are we going to do?
Really?
She's like,
What,
we're
where
doing
were
it.
you? What beach? Were you at a real beach? Like a
Oh
good
no,
one?
I was where was I? I was in Pensacola. I was in what is it?
Oh,
Not Pensacola, but Destin or Panhandle.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all the beach means when you're in Georgia and
Okay.
Tennessee.
You know,
Like
it's
we
funny.
go,
I went to
yeah.
college in Colorado, and I knew some girl from Wyoming saying she would go to the beach.
Hmm.
And what they meant was like the big lake, like a lake.
Yeah.
A lake in Wyoming was their beach, and I'm like, I said earlier about an hour ago, I could hit the ocean with a rock if I threw it about 3 miles from my house. I go to the beach. I go to La Jolla Shores and like, remember the Beach Boys and their song "All Over La Jolla." That's they're
Yeah.
singing about. If you go this way from my house, about a 5 minute drive, you go to La Jolla, and it's the richest zip code in America. Sometimes, off and
Hmm.
on. Mitt Romney has a man. There's like literally over $20 million mansions on this mountain you can see from my house. It's one
My
of the
first.
wealthiest places in the country. La Jolla is gorgeous, and it has this beach called La Jolla Shores, where the
Mhm.
water's about 3 feet deep for about 50 feet. So it's like a Hawaiian beach where it's clear and shallow for a long time. La Jolla Shores is amazing. It's right by my house. I love
My
it.
first East Coast West Coast thing ever was when I was flying out to San Francisco from Rhode Island, and I was on the plane, and the guy goes, "So you going? You going? Or you going home? Or are you going out?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going out. I'm going to go see my brothers. They were going to take me to Skywalker Ranch and all this other fun stuff while I
Oh,
was out there. It
cool.
was cool." And he goes, "Where are you from?" I said, "Rhode Island." And he looked at me. It was the best delivery ever. I was like, "Dude, you should be from New England with that level of delivery." He goes, "You coming out to see a real ocean?"
Ooh, that's very Boston. That's
That
I
was,
could see his red hair and freckles when
yeah,
he
it
said
was
that.
awesome. But yeah, I spent some time in Destin, Pensacola. Yeah, they're not sun and sand beaches of SoCal in Oregon. You're right, Henry Bemis. I mean, I think that was the whole thing. Like, I'm growing up landlocked in Tennessee for the most part, or I'm going out to El Paso to see family and things like that
Right.
in Texas. So it's a desert, or it's mountains and it's hills. You see these kids, this pirate ship come out of these rocks and go out on the ocean. And I didn't have any concept of whether it was Skinwalker Ranch. That's right. I didn't have any concept of whether it was the East Coast or West Coast, because to me there was no, like, where is this place called Oregon?
Wow. No,
You know?
that's such a different experience for me. Just I think I came out to California the first time when I was 8, after my
Mm,
parents got divorced. But we would visit my Aunt Martha. Is that not the perfect name for an aunt? I feel like nobody's
yeah,
mom is named
it's a
Martha, but
perfect.
your aunt is
Yeah.
definitely Martha. I literally have an Aunt Martha, and they lived in Hawaii. So I started going to the beach like when I think the first time we went out there, I was like 3 or 4. So
Hmm.
yeah, believe it or not, big football guy like me, I like to surf when I was in middle school and high school.
I've met so many people, like,
I
shoot.
got 3 surfboard. This is my garage, by the way. That's why I have the green screen.
Mhm.
I got 3 surfboard. Oh, the Van Dam's still there. I got 3 giant surfboards
You
right
can't be
there.
defeated.
Right. You can't be stopped.
Well, no, but I can picture you surfing just like I can picture, speaking of that time period, John Milius. You
Oh,
know what I mean? John Milius loved to surf. He used to
yeah.
go out and surf all the time, man. Great director,
Yeah,
and
it was mostly middle school. We did a little bit of
yeah,
it in high school with my cousins Tim and John, and then my brother Abe. But yeah, I got a wetsuit and everything for Christmas when I was in 7th grade.
nice, man.
Have you ever been surfing?
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, it's fun. Very
Yeah,
fun.
I hear.
Yeah.
Like, listen, the
The
ocean and
whole thing
I.
is you paddle out, right?
Yeah,
And you're sitting on your board waiting for a set. A set is a group of waves. You're sitting
yeah.
there, and then you're in 7th grade and you start thinking about sharks and big gross fish and stuff. And I don't know, just he's like, come on, I hope the waves come. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah, it is what it is. My wife got me going to the beach, but I'm not going out into that place. I don't trust it. Uh,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. I love the ocean. I love to see it from afar, man. But I'm so obviously, it becomes clearer and clearer to me the older I get how landlocked I was. Like for me, like when people go, "Oh, I'm going to hike, on this crazy trail." Like, I grew up in between Lookout and Signal Mountain in Tennessee. So you'd go to trails that people fell off and died on, like as a bunch of kids. You'd just be walking. And
Jeez.
it's a different, like, mountains are nothing to me. Driving up the side of a mountain is what you had to
Right,
do to get to somebody's house. So
right.
it's too funny. Ray
Yeah.
Storm.
But yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
that's one thing we connect on here, and then with the CG fans too, is just the love of this country, and not and I feel like saying America is an exception, all that it isn't arrogance, it's reverence and gratitude. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
this is amazing. This place,
it
it
is.
is, and I didn't build it. You know
Yeah,
what I
well,
mean? So that it's a gift to me from someone else's blood, sweat, and tears. So I
and
need to pay it forward by making awesome comics like Nosfero and all that, and Truth, Justice, and American Way. That's how we pay it forward. This gift we've been given. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just
you're right.
sometimes I hope I don't come off as jingoistic about America because I'm not. I know we have flaws and this and that, but name me a country that doesn't. You
Name me
know?
a country where you can point that out
Right.
and not
Yeah.
get killed for it.
Yeah.
And this is the other thing too, right? We're talking about comics, right? So, guys, when people ask me, I showed last week how, I was hiding stuff from Goonies in my stuff. But when people ask us, like, what is Comicsgate about? And I know you guys know because Comicsgate is the fans, it's the creators, it's everybody in what we're doing. It's a commitment and it's a discipline to doing work and to producing things. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's about this idea of people are going to love that SDA. People are going to, be in a position where we have this freedom to imagine and there's no excuse. And what
Right.
it seems to me is that we've got a lot of people who are saying, no, 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 like we want to make rules governing imagination because we have no ideas. So like when you see this
Well,
stuff,
pardon
like
my French, but I would tell them go fuck yourself.
yeah, well here,
There's a little
put me on
Boston
the
for you, huh?
yeah, put me up on here so because I want to show something to
All
show
right.
you guys what I mean when we're talking about this stuff, right? So as a kid of let me see if I can get the light on here. As a
All right.
kid of these particular time periods, when I go to imagine the fantasy and the adventure and all of those great pulp movies that I love are in this stuff.
It's
But I
so
also
dude, it's so good. I don't even know what the story is, but that wolfish face looking through the grate,
that's the
that
fun
just
stuff.
image just tells a story by itself.
And you can see right here.
No one is having more fun than us.
Oh,
No
no one
one.
is. And when you
No
see
one.
this kind of like the Book of Evil, you
Right.
might see a hammer, a sickle, and a star. You might see in Russian, each according to his need. But
Oh, I love it. I love it.
but the point of all this stuff is right as we're creating this stuff. When I'm making Nosfero, it's because I have the freedom to make this work because
Mhm.
of people who weren't there. And there was this quality to here's a weird way of looking at things. Kids in the 80s and the kids in the Goonies were free to make mistakes and express themselves. And sometimes you wince when you see it. You
Right?
know what I mean? You wince when you see Mouth going on and on about all this insanity and you see all these characters, but at their core, they're free to explore and figure out what it means to be kids. They're
Yeah.
free in this country. They don't have to like, and that's a total product. Look at him. He's wearing a Purple Rain t-shirt. You know
How
what I
great
mean?
is it when he's translating for the maid that only speaks Spanish about
Yep.
how to clean up the house for the moving and the packing, and he's just lying to her about, okay, well, you got to hide the drugs and do this and that, and if you screw it up,
Exactly.
you got to be locked in here with nothing but water and the cockroaches and the
Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's a hilarious character. You want to dislike him, but you can see he's actually not a jerk. You know,
yeah.
there's something about him that's charming. So.
Yeah, we gotta love it.
Charles Lee says, tell you a big culture shock for me was my first trip to Kenya. One of my best professors in college, Dawood Suleiman, he was a great illustration professor, just like 2-3 years older than me, Shanth. Indian fellow like you, or at least you're part of it. Yeah, Dawood Suleiman from Kenya, where I'm in Amsterdam and had to use the restroom, and alone behold, of cleaning lady just walked in on that was a culture shock.
Yeah,
So
that'll do it.
you were in the bathroom, the cleaning lady walked in on you. Not good. Not good.
That was her story. We don't know. We think she was a cleaning lady. You don't know.
Maybe that was her best day at work.
Exactly. That's right.
Mainstream comics cannot even put out a decent book. Indies are where it's at.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a shame, man, because I feel like the art has never been better. There's crappy art in like some of the SJWs they hire, but some of these guys are absolute monsters. And I feel like they're wasting their career on these stories, but I don't want to get into that. I want to be positive, talk about what we love. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and this is the thing though, right? Like we've talked about this. The reason why when I go to do anything other than my own work, with the exception of if I was doing like a portrait for somebody, if I have a commission for portraits or a commission for something like that, when I go to do my own work and I go to do like just fun work off on the side, I'm always doing Comicsgate stuff and Comicsgate characters because every painting, every drawing, every painting and drawing stream I do is a chance to promote what we're doing here. Yeah. So I can cross Evil Dead and I was just talking about this earlier, and I know there's people who are, who like the video game. I like the books, and I enjoy the show. Certain elements of it, certainly some of the creature design stuff. But I've been watching The Witcher, and one of the things I liked about that show was the fact that for me, the show version of it, it felt like pulp. Like, it's not, I'm not talking about whether it was an accurate thing, but I mean, it had like the sexiness, the action, the creatures, the monster. And that's not everything that I'm about doing, but it just had some of that sense of play to it.
Yeah.
And whenever I look at a blank page, I'm thinking I can put a creature in here. I can put an underground gigantic Egyptian pyramid, in this giant cavernous space. Not saying that's going to happen, but you never know.
Right.
And
sounds probable though.
Sounds probable. And I can, and that pyramid could be made of crystal or glass, and inside of it could be a Cthulhu-like creature because it's a doorway. I can do it all.
Right.
That is what you get to do.
My co-conspirator, Dave Williams, who's working with me on Truth, Justice, American Way, same thing. We are going crazy talking, and I won't spoil it, but talking about story and character ideas and what we're going to do in the second volume. And, will there be in-between volumes of origin stories? And I've written out a whole universe here of like my own Marvel DC universe of heroes, and they have backstories and they have motivations and they have character arcs. And it's just like, I can do whatever I want as long as I do a good job. This is like such an amazing blessing. So I feel you on your crystal pyramid filled with your interdimensional monster.
Well, here's a question for you.
Yes.
Well, that we need to talk about with all of the movies that we've been talking about in this. And by the way, Gabe, I just got to say this into the chat, guys. I hope you guys understand. We love the subjects that we come here to talk about, but I got to tell you, I love just spending this time with Gabe.
Oh, it's fun.
That's really what it's about, and hanging here with you guys, hanging here with the chat. But I have to tell you this, all the movies that we have talked about would not be made in a creativity by committee situation. And that's the thing. Like, would you agree with that? That like, there's no way you've got a stiff and a disfigured, adult who turns out to be the hero in this.
Here's the heuristic I use to understand things. I always say, you don't know something. None of us know something unless it's already happened.
Yeah.
Something you save your academics, your prediction models, all your stuff.
Yeah.
None of that matters because the scientific method is observation, hypothesis, test. Means it really happens, and then conclusion. Most people go observation, arrogant hypothesis, done. They call it good right there. So to answer your question, would these movies be made today? We have the test and we have the answer. They're not being made.
Yeah.
So you don't have to postulate. You don't have to wonder, can they make these movies today? No. Of course there are exceptions, but no, they can't because it's socialist, feminist, liberal SJW nonsense. Movie by committee, you better not say anything that offends anyone, blah, 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 whatever. So, of course, you don't have the freedom to be creative. That is the anathema to creativity is the conformity of thought. It's anathema. It's the exact opposite of creativity.
You're right.
Creativity is the freedom to think something stupid and do it anyway, so you have your answer. You don't have to wonder. They can't do it. Or where is it? Show it to me because it doesn't exist.
And it's so funny because Henry Bemis just hit that on the head, and John also. When I listen to John Galt's speech in Atlas Shrugged, there's a movie that's in the banned book list right now. But one of the things I dug about it, whereas he goes, it is not a more fair system if you let the genius if you have the genius and the moron have to meet in the middle with all of their ideas. Right. And when you look at it and it's like, what do I think about, the public domain characters? When I saw this, my attitude is that I think it's great. I think it's a way to get people who use other characters, or who really don't want to come up with an idea. They want to work off of something else. But I look around me today, like when I was coming up with Nosfero and coming up with this whole world, I just, even when I'm have a starting point of another character, I will run off in a direction to where I'm basically making my own thing.
Yeah.
And so I usually start with, the kind of the seed of the idea thing where I just go, the characters, here's my public domain use. Actually, God, you guys are so chat. We love you, chat. This is the thing I'm saying. Here's some public domain characters for you. I'm referencing Nosferatu, Dracula, in book 2, if this does well, Frankenstein,
Oh, yes.
So much of what I do is public domain characters.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, Nosferatu. It's right there.
Werewolves.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, and they're all those characters. If I want to do a straight Nosferatu adaptation, it's in the public domain. I could do it.
Right.
So
Winnie the
yeah.
Pooh is in the
Mhm.
public domain.
But I mean, guys, like the I'm
You're gonna
trying
put
to
Winnie
find.
the Pooh in the sequel, right?
Yeah,
He's gonna
absolutely.
be the
Yeah.
blood drinking overlord.
Yes, it happens. But like when you see this character, that
Hold
right
on.
there,
Let me
that is
blow it up.
Nosferatu. That's all that character
Sure.
is, you
Sure.
know? And when I'm doing this kind of stuff, it just dawned on me when you guys said that, it's everything so much of what I'm doing is working off of public domain. So much when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a great thing about the public domain stuff is it gives us all a cultural touchstone. So we all we're calibrated. And we know,
Yes.
oh, Sherlock Holmes. So
Yep.
we all know what we're talking about. And now I can just make a cool story on top of Sherlock Holmes. And none of us, one thing I've always had a problem with in comic books is calling ourselves creators. I think there's
Yeah.
only one creator and it's God. What we do as
Mm.
artists is we play act. Like when children are playing with a toy vacuum or they're making fake pancakes on their little fake, we copy God and we pretend to create things. But you didn't make up, I didn't make up heroes. I didn't make up people. Like nobody made it up. We observed it as humans and then made stories about it. So I do think that if you're referencing Sherlock Holmes or you're making up a whole new character, even the new character you make up, nothing about him is an idea that nobody's heard. You know what I mean? So I think it's fun to build on the culture, to build on what's been done before, and then make a new spin on it that you have. And I don't know. That's why I'm so excited about what you're doing, and excited about what I'm
Comicscape's
doing.
weird, man. Like I love it. It's
Yeah.
weird. Like I try to explain it to people and I go, yeah, like when I was coming up with this idea and I was working today, I was working on this radio show thing that I'm gonna be getting, doing more stuff with once I get all my this stuff going. This is the main focus for me right now. I said I wanted to do a Comicscape book, and my wife goes, well, what is a Comicscape book? And I go, I know when I'm making it. I don't know how to define it, but I know when I'm making it, and I know what it isn't. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's hard
Oh
to
yeah,
describe
that's that Latin concept via negativa. You know
Yeah.
something by what it isn't.
what it
You
isn't
know what I mean?
exactly.
So,
And
yeah.
it's there's so much that that non-Comicscape books are not allowed to be. That's a pretty wide field for us to go into and create on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like they just left money on the table. Literally, like literal
Yeah.
money, and then like figuratively, just like the ability to be free. And I mean, I don't know if people can, I'm sure they can hear it actually. The people can hear how much like joy is like right bubbling beneath the surface in you and I. When we talk about this
Yeah.
stuff, like I feel like I hate to say like I'm getting away with something. Like, man, I am having fun all day when I
Yep.
work. And that's really different than working for Dark Horse and DC and Marvel. That was a pleasure and a privilege in a certain way. I should be grateful because they paid me good money and I got to work on famous characters, but it wasn't fun. It really wasn't fun a lot of the times because it's so corporate and your hands are so tied. And you're like, I'm a creative person, but you're not really in charge of anything. And
You know,
even the writer, the guy originating the story, even his hands are tied. They're not going to let him do anything with Batman. So
and it's this is the crazy thing, right? And it's like I was just looking at the leg kick one was just saying when I saw this, I thought, Mr. Barlow from Salem's Lot. Yeah, that Toby Hooper directed TV miniseries. That's one of the greatest interpretations of the design of that character. You guys get this stuff. Like when you look at it, you can see our influences. And when it
yeah,
comes to us, like guys, it is when I think I got 2 new backers today.
good.
Now that might not seem like it's like, oh, whatever, but it's like, it's to me, it's huge. To whoever you are out there who backed the book, thank
Right.
you for doing it. It is such a shot in the arm to see people support this book and make this thing happen because it's more than anything else. It's feeling like you're in a community where people get it. People care about creativity, free expression, and our job is to deliver on the premise. So when I'm working 14-hour days, I told my wife, I go, I can't stop working. Sleep is my enemy. Like I
Yeah.
just want to work constantly because I love this so much. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's such a great space, guys.
Yeah. And if you
We're
want to,
very lucky, all of us.
yeah. And if you want something that you could take some of Shanth's passion and his scent home,
Yeah, that's right. Oh, jeez.
check this out. Nasfero,
Yeah,
there's
man.
a link. I threw a link in the description. And I don't like to shill too hard. No, I don't want to. I'm not putting a sales pressure on anyone, but this is a triumph here. He, like me, walked away from a almost 2 decade long career,
Yep.
and he's taking a chance because you guys are worth it, and art is worth it, and his own self respect is worth it to really live in truth and to be a more honest person and say, you know what, I'm not gonna tell people they're awful because they're male or because they're white or they love their country. I'm not going to tell them they're awful because of that. You know,
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
that's what I was going to be doing at DC full time. Is telling you that you're trash because you're a white person. I don't want to do that. I'm not a hateful bigot. So I guess I don't. I guess instead of them canceling me, I canceled them. See, and I can say that officially, tongue in cheek, but also seriously, because let me zoom in on myself here a little bit.
Yeah, do it.
I own a company. I have an LLC, Gabe Taib Illustration.
Yeah.
It's a real business
Yeah.
with the government. So as president, CEO, and the only employee of the company, it is our official policy that we shall not do business with Warner Brothers Entertainment until they rectify their corporate culture. So, in fact, I have canceled you, Warner Brothers. You're not.
Well, it's the same thing.
You're not allowed to do business with me unless you pay me royalties. You can do that.
Yeah, Peterson wrote an article and then read it out on his channel, Jordan Peterson, about why he left academia. And it's funny, I left academia this past summer. I don't know if he did it in 2021 like I did, but we walked away. It's basically he's saying everything. I was listening to him and what he was going through. And I basically had that moment. We talked a little bit about that where we're getting to talk about Goonies and you guys are here for it. How lucky are we, man? This is such a fun gig, you know?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Goonies, Lethal Weapon, Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. But here's what it all comes out of. When you're a creative person and you have been in basically a cage where they have locked you in and it's gotten smaller and smaller and smaller, you get out and it's like almost like this exhilaration of being able to, you know, get fresh air in your lungs and to create. And it's fueled by this consumer movement. When you guys back this book, it goes to brushes, it goes to making this book possible. And it also, I mean, I don't think I've said this a lot, but and I don't want to make it seem like whatever. I want to make a great book for you guys. That's it. That's what I get up for. But it does send a message to them that we don't have to buy their shitty entertainment. We're giving you guys options. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, there's my swearing.
Yeah, I was shocked. Usually I'm the one that does all the fucking swearing.
Yeah, I'm the mouth, I guess. In the circumstance, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Stay in your lane, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I got to stay in my lane.
Let me read. I want you to read the super chat because I feel like it's somewhat direct to use. Why don't you go ahead and read? Thank you for the generous $5.
Thank you. Yeah,
Ray
absolutely.
Storman, thank you so much.
Yeah, Ray Storman, thank you for $5. Comicsgate got me into comics. Never collected them before, but now I have 2 full short boxes, and I love it. Hail Comicsgate. Can't wait for Nosfero. Thank you, Ray Storman. And Ray Storman, I want to tell you something, too, as well. I haven't opened it yet. I'm not going to dox myself because I got to do an unboxing. This is my Compass Comics book of Alien Alamo.
Oh, I got that yesterday. You're going to love it. It's
so great. And then right under here, and this is just the stuff I can get to, but I always love to show this stuff. I've got Jungle Lords by Andy Smith.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Jungle Lords by Andy Smith. I've got Downcast. I've got Graveyard Shift. This is Supplemental 2, which I've got a piece in there in the fan section. I've got Andy Smith's First Man, back First Man 2. One of my 2 copies of the first Comicsgate book I ever backed, which was the first printing of Cyberfrog #1 with the great all caps logo. Backing this book was the start of my Comicsgate journey. It was, for me, as silly as it may sound, and it is wild to think about, that someone could back my book as a part of their Comicsgate journey. Because for me, backing this book right here was like a declaration of independence. You know, Kyle Ritter, right here, Starblades. Another Graveyard Shift Volume 3. The prints and cards that come with it. And, of course, one of my absolute favorite books, Michael Bancroft's The Lucent. And it is such an honor for me to think about you guys and your Comicsgate collection. If you want to... If you want to think about something you could do for your Uncle Shanth out there, for your brother from another mother, the idea that one day someone will post a picture of Nosfero in and among their Comicsgate collection is something I am just living for.
You know what?
About, man.
You're going to have it too. Eric July I can say, I'm not going to say what the comic is, but I did a huge project for him, and there's a lot more coming. I love working for that guy. And he said the other day on Twitter, whatever, book is off to the printer, but he won't say what it is yet. And I texted him privately because I have his number. We talk and stuff. I told him, dude, congratulations. You're one of us now. You are a pro comic book creator. And I could tell I touched him. You know what I mean? And we talked a little more. It was like, you did it, dude. So, Shanth, I can't wait for the day when I have your comic in my pile here. And I'm like, okay, Shanth, you really, really, really are one of us. A guy that made a comic book and sold it. And you're a pro creator. And like, that's why these fans are the greatest in the world, dude. Look at what they give us. We're talking Goonies. I'm showing you cool pictures of Ninja Turtles. Comic books and cahoots for $1.99. Thank you so much. That's very generous of you. I really appreciate it. Mainstream equals light beer. Comicsgate equal crack. Now, I do not do drugs myself, but I've heard crack is a lot of fun. Don't do it. It's illegal and bad for you and will kill you probably or land you in jail. But I thank you.
We're the two like straight laced. What's like?
I don't even drink. I don't drink.
I know. I don't try. I don't. Yeah. I can count the times in the last, year that I've had something to drink. Once was for my our 20th, like our belated 20th anniversary. Yeah. But it's one of those things to where it's people would be surprised because for me, I feel like I want to be dialed in when I'm working all the time. And, I'm one of those people who it's like, I feel like I can get laughing, like I might as well be intoxicated when I'm listening to, Cecil or John or any of the guys crack me up. You know what I mean?
On me and Cecil have been talking for like a month about him coming on my show, but then it was the holidays, and I'll have Cecil on soon though. So
if there's ever a chance for me to go on a show, if you ever have Cecil on and there's a chance for me to be there, man,
he seems like a chill dude. I don't know him that well. That's why I want to have him on. I want to
I would absolutely love to meet that dude.
All the jokes, and I definitely am going to have him on soon. I think I'm going to have Mandy Summers on maybe tomorrow if I'm not too busy. We talked, and I'm going to talk to Ripa too and see if he'll come on mine. He said I'll go on his. So Eric July, I'd love to have him. But I brought up Dave Williams' art here. I already showed you his the book I'm doing with him, Truth, Justice, and the American Way. But I just want to take a second here to Dave Williams. I don't think gets the credit he deserves.
Beautiful, man.
I think he's one of the best comic book artists of the last few decades. I mean, he's got like 30 years experience. I have another folder with some more stuff here. Let me grab that here. Dave Williams. Here we go. We'll open this one. Open with preview. One thing I really want to accomplish with this book, obviously I want to make a great book and entertain the fans and make a lot of money. Of course I want to do that, take care of my wife and kids. But I want Dave Williams to get the credit he deserves as the genius that he is. And I'm not kidding. I'm not saying that to sound good. I think the guy's an artistic freaking genius. Yep. And I want people to say it. I want the world to understand who this guy is. Cartoon Network, Marvel, Disney, you name it, he's done it. Flipping styles, flipping modes, beating deadlines. Look at this G.I. Joe. He did totally different style here, for IDW and all that. And I just want him to get credit. And I want him to understand how special he is to this business, how amazing of an illustrator he is. And I know he knows he's good, but I want him to hear it from legions of fans, and I don't know if that's a weird thing for me, but that's really important for me.
It's a unique thing, but it's a very Comicsgate thing. I've never met so many people that if you've got game and you look, we've all worked, I've done, I did a short story for a Flash Gordon short story with Len Wein back in for the 75th anniversary of the Flash Gordon comic anthology they did. Mm-hmm. I've, worked on various projects and worked as a concept artist. We've all worked professionally doing different things. Shoot, I even did a couple of Harry Potter trading cards for that game when it came out back in the day. I've bounced around concept art for video games, stuff like that. Right. But at the end of the day, man, if you've got the stuff to do the grind, which is to make a comic book and put that stuff out there, which all of us do, we've all done it before, on varying levels. And we've all put out, I've done 2 books on Indiegogo, so I know how to make and ship books and even raise the money. Yeah. But we're so excited for our fellow creators. I'm sure it comes across. But when we see somebody good, to me, the thing I would love for Comicsgate's legacy to be is when you see somebody come in with amazing talent that you don't have to look sideways at them, because that's not what we cultivate here.
No way.
You're welcome to the party. You're on my team. We just got a great new player.
Right.
Why the hell would I have a problem with that?
Yeah. Yeah. A big part of my sensibility is growing up being a football player, then a football coach. And it's like, I don't care if I'm not the quarterback. Don't I get a championship ring, even if I'm the fullback or
Mm-hmm.
the left tackle? Like, I'm still on the team, still dating a cheerleader, still got my champ. Like, what's the like playing football, being in the military, being in any of those really masculine worlds where you're a masculine brotherhood? It teaches you that immediately. And that's
Yeah,
another reason that any man with a normal level of testosterone and masculinity in him rejects identity politics out of hand. Because when
sure.
I played football with those guys,
Yep.
this guy's black, this guy's Filipino, this guy, it didn't matter. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that's John and that's Chris, and he's the tight end, and this guy's the middle linebacker. Not this is the black guy. That doesn't that's so stupid. That doesn't even matter. It matters who people are in their heart and what they do. So again, that's why identity politics, they're just it's failure. It's just failure to critical, it's a failure of critical thinking, it's a failure of creativity. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I
So
mean, have you ever
go ahead.
met somebody who goes in to see a doctor and they're told this is the best neurosurgeon or the best
Right,
gastroenterologist, and they say, "Yeah, but what's their race?" Like, have you ever seen that happen in your lifetime? Do you know
right,
what I mean? I've
right.
never like it's got nothing to do with
Yeah.
anything. Can you get it done? Yeah,
Yes.
man.
Yeah, would you care? Would you care what someone was if they were going to do life-saving surgery on your loved one? Would you
No,
really give a
wouldn't at
crap
all.
what race they were? Would you say you didn't want that Chinese doctor working on your wife if she was about to die? So
Mhm.
someone said, little PG-13, guys, the boob window is back. I am allowed to render the 3D shape of the boobs now, not like a DC where they had me take the highlight and shadow and even them out and make it all flat. So it's safe for youngsters, but it's we're gonna ride that line where it's just kind of little naughty, but not gross. We're not gonna be pervs.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's R. Is it R. Is it Brugman? Is that right? Am I pronouncing? I don't know if I can even read it. But I would say this CG. I would agree with you on half of that. CG feels like the mythical Marvel bullpen made
Right.
real. It is, except for the fact that you guys get to look into and interact with the bullpen.
That's
You
why an
guys are
hour ago,
invited.
when Eric July texted me live on the air and you heard the ding of my phone, that's
Yep.
why I told him that. Because like
Yep.
you're not at home watching me on YouTube. You're here with me. You're
You
here with
guys are
me. You're
with
my
us in the
friend. You're my
bullpen,
buddies.
and you've got
So
our six. That's why we're able to do this.
right. Yeah.
I mean, you guys are it, man.
Yeah. Oh boy, well, we've covered a lot tonight. Let's wrap it, but let's go back to Goonies a little bit because
Sure.
that's what we started on. A denouement of sorts on Goonies. Give
Yep.
me your for someone out there. I haven't seen Goonies. I have, but if I'm a person I haven't seen Goonies, and I'm gonna go see it, what am I? Why am I gonna love this so much? What does it capture about the human spirit that you love? And then I think we'll end it on that. We'll check the chat and then we'll end it. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'd say this: no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter how much money you have, if it's a lot or if it's a little, there's an adventure right around the corner that you can participate in that's going to bring forth the best part of your nature that maybe you haven't even realized you have yet.
I love that. I love that. Wow, beautiful. Okay, well, thank you, Angela Curry and James Lee
Absolutely.
was here, and all kinds of leg kick was here for a long time, and SDA and Brugman, and who else was here? All kinds of great friends. Next Wednesday, you want to do RoboCop? You want to do They Live? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah. Let's brainstorm, man. But RoboCop is an option, man. I'm there. I'm a huge RoboCop fanatic. So
Okay, I'll buy that for $1.
buy that for $1. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you guys for watching, and
Thank you,
we will
guys.
talk to you later. Hit the like and share the link out. All right, talk to you later. Bye.
Take care, guys.